And we are wrestling with WWE Survivor Series War Games. It's hard to believe that this was literally 1 week ago. Um, it took place in Rosemont, Illinois, at the Rosemont Horizon, now known as the Allstate Arena. Attendance was 17,138. A damn near sellout. Um, and I mean, there was only 5 matches on this card, but I gotta say, it was an enjoyable and obviously, for obvious reasons, a memorable show to say the least. Um, the show as a whole, how did you feel about it, Kalika?
Well, 5 matches, like you said, pretty good show overall. I can't even lie. It was some good stuff. Um, Me personally, I was like, I was driving to LA while watching it, so I was kind of paying attention and stuff like that. But it was overall decent show. Can't even knock it. New Japan, AEW take notes with these 8-hour pay per views because it felt quick.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
It really, it felt really fucking fast. Like I was driving to LA by the time I got there. I was like, wait, it's over? Holy shit! It went by quick. So I guess they're getting cutting the fluff and getting straight to the point, which is really really good.
Scooter.
uh, this is a this is I think the first uh decent war games uh that they've had since they you know brought the concept to main TV. The women's and the men's game war games got a you know a lot of time as it should be. Uh, uh, Gunther and Miz, that even felt like it went a little bit longer, but it was still good. Um, I You could probably have done without uh, Santos Escobar and Dragon Lee. I mean, it was supposed to be Carlito, and I think that was also a kind of a big moment for Hispanic fans. Finally getting to see Carlito wrestle a one-on-one match at a PLE.
And not
Um,
even um, uh, Mexican fans, just fans in general that's enjoyed his work. I mean, I
uh,
was excited to see him.
the it was a it was it was a good show. Um, if I had to pick anything to nitpick at, I would say why did they really need to uh, decide what why did they you know devote so much time to wondering if Randy was going to show up? That that you could have had you could have not done that at all, and would it it probably would have been uh, just as good. Um, the the idea of Randy being, you know, unsure if Randy will make it because of a prior attack. would have made more sense to me. But this was a hugely enjoyable event, and they struck while the iron was hot. And I will tell you about my response to that when we get to the main event.
Okay, that gets us to the first match. Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch defeated Damage Control. We got Io Sky with Dakota Kai, with a barely there, with a barely here, barely there, barely everywhere. Asuka and Kairi Sane were also there. It was 33 minutes and 35 seconds. Good way to start the show. Maybe a little bit surprising that Damage Control, considering all the damage they've been doing, actually took the L here. But I wasn't necessarily mad about it. What say you, Kaliko?
I'm trying to remember. I said that they were gonna win,
I think you said that
huh?
Damage Control was gonna. If Damage Control won, then Judgment Day was gonna lose. If
Yeah,
Damage,
it was always one or the other, right?
yeah, and then if
I
this,
always thought that. It was like, and they just pissed me off both times. Anyway, but yeah, this match actually, everybody got their shit in, and this is the crazy part. I'm just gonna say this quick story before I get to it. So me and my boy was watching it, right? Charlotte walks in at 6:35. He says at 6:40 she will be doing a fucking moonsault. At 6:40 she was doing a goddamn moonsault. Like on the dot. I was like, God damn it. Like, because I
Now,
saw, and what got me was when EO did her shit, I was like, oh yeah, Charlotte can't get her shit after that. And Charlotte was like, fuck that.
then you ask your son, now say money shall fall from the sky. Say,
Exactly.
uh,
But overall, it was a good match. Pretty physical. Shotzi, I swear to God, she must have been concussed. Because this girl was like literally hitting like everything. When she hit the chair and the chair bounced off and it busted her in the
did that bus door open? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something. So, yeah, Shotzi got her ass toe up by herself, taking all them damn hits. Bailey was the MVP. And it looks like to me, it seemed like the story was Bailey was fighting for the group, and in double ways. Like she's fighting for the group, yeah, obviously to win, but she's also kind of like fighting for the group to find her place within the group,
Right.
which was interesting to me. So that to me was the biggest takeaway from that match. But overall, a great match.
Scooter.
uh, first off, it wouldn't be right unless we mentioned the change to Damage Control's name, and that's Three Asians with a Bailey. Uh, it's the long-awaited concluding trilogy to the Three Men and a Baby. Uh, um, I won't.
You ain't lying. I should got 3 Asians and a baby. We're gonna start calling. That's gonna be my Twitter handle: 3 Asians and a baby in damage control.
The interesting thing here is that it was only 4-on-4 for the women, and yet they only did a minute or so less than the total time of the men's match.
Yeah, that's correct.
And That's insane, especially when you honestly could have made this a 5-on-5.
I mean, who would have been able to fill that extra spot? I mean, obviously Dakota Kai couldn't because she was injured.
Well, I'd say, why not bring Trish back and Lita?
I mean, maybe Trish, but Lita, uh, it kind of seems like it's over for her.
Over for art teacher,
Yeah,
English art teacher.
Yeah,
let her make her art, let her have her fun, but you know.
well, this this match was way more nuts than the men's match. I mean, Io diving from the top of the cage with a garbage can on her head. I, how much trust do you have in every person in that ring to confidently be able to pull that off?
What about confidence in yourself that you're going
Yeah.
to actually hit the mark?
I don't think I don't think the mark actually mattered. Um, as long as she dove into a group, uh, the group would cover for it, so it would look good no matter what. Um, there's a couple of things I didn't like. Dakota Kai trying to slip a kendo stick in, and yet she keeps it in there so long that Becky is able to grab a hold of it and pull it in. Well, clearly there was enough time for her to just pull it out. Then again, the New Zealanders and their pullout game. Uh,
Will you stop it?
uh, you know, the WWE seems to have forgotten what the main starting point of War Games is supposed to be, and that's the heels always have the advantage. Um,
I mean, they had the advantage in the men's, so it can't necessarily be all the same.
yeah, but that's how Dusty defined it. That's how. That's what. That's the type of match War Games is supposed to be. The good guys overcoming the bad guys, and if you look at all the War Games throughout WCW, the one thing they have in common is the bad guys had the advantage, but the bad guys still all lost.
Doesn't that kind of get repetitive in a sense? Like, you know what's going to happen. I think that's the detriment to the World Games
It
match, is that concept exactly.
it works with five. Uh, it it doesn't work with four really. Um, and So I guess that's the right decision. Also, they really need to stop allowing pinfalls to end the match. War Games is supposed to end with a submission.
Meh. It doesn't really matter, honestly. How many stars do you give this match, Kaliko?
I mean, I give it a solid 4. It was a good starter. People were hot for it. They had crazy flips and shit. Shotzi knocked herself out 13 times. It's typical.
Squirtle?
I'm gonna say a hard 4 too.
Considering that I thought Damage Control was absolutely winning this match, um, and they didn't, I'll give it a 4, just for that unpredictability. Alright, that brings us to Walter Gunter Starks defeating The Miz to retain his Intercontinental Championship in 12 minutes and 20 seconds. Good match. I liked how Miz didn't exactly go full face. He still had some, heelless tactics to try to win the match. And weirdly enough, it was appreciated by the fans as well. But obviously not enough to, overcome the ring, the wrong, the rah 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 rah. Kaliko,
Miz actually, I mean, Miz did what he was supposed to do with that match because everyone and their mother thought that match was a squash match. But Miz made Gunther work for it. I mean, Gunther at that one point was kind of like Okada, coming down to the person's level a bit because he kind of overlooked how good Miz is.
right?
And it just to be clear, Miz is. You gotta give Miz props, man. This dude works with everybody. People shit on his style, but his style is so flexible with anybody and everybody. He took them chops. His face, his chest was red as hell. But hey, that's what happened with Gunther. But he made Gunther work for it, and that's the one thing I think Gunther was surprised about. Was the match a tad bit long? Tad bit, but that was the point of the story. It was the point of the story was Gunther should have. Gunther himself felt like that match should have been over quicker because of the fact that he feels that he was way more superior to Miz than
Right.
you know what I mean. So that I think that kind of balances it out.
Squirtle?
You know, part of me is wondering, when did Miz go face?
A couple weeks ago
Like,
for this match.
yeah, but it was the weirdest face turn ever. Uh, like, I mean, I will say this: I think it's some of the best work the Miz has ever done. I I think Miz is one of those rare talents that even though he can be an asshole when he's a heel, that he can be an asshole when he's a face and get as much love as he would have gotten, boos. Uh, and I mean, I figured that there was no way the Miz was winning this, Um, but there were a couple of moments where I thought, maybe, is this the time? 537 days? It, but I agree with Kaliko. Uh, Gunther, it almost seemed like Gunther wasn't exactly ready to face the version of the Miz he fought. And that last minute creative way to get him, take the Miz back into submission, it almost showed Gunther. Well, it gave us an example of Gunther panicking.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, he will doubt himself, and that is how you bring someone like Gunther down to your side.
We're starting to see the cracks.
Yeah, and that really is the way you should see it, because he was already pissed at Imperium to begin with.
Yeah.
Uh, so he's taking out that anger on them, and it's it's they're showing that Gunther is a mortal man like the rest of us.
How many stars do you give this one, Strudel?
I I feel like being generous. I will give this a 4.
Kaliko?
I was thinking the same. I was like 4.25 because it really showed the whole thing that Scooter was right. That was a perfect overall, and it's and it only took someone like Miz to do it because he has that experience, and I think Gunther underestimated that experience.
You know what? I'll give it 4 as well. Now we get to Santos Escobar defeating Dragon Lee in 7 minutes and 40 seconds. Honestly, a little disappointing because it wasn't Carlito. It feels like the match kind of dipped in quality because of that fact. Um, but it was a decent match. It got Santos, a win on a major pay per view. So at the end of the day, I suppose it did do what it needed to. But what say you, Kalika?
Pretty much. Personally, I always when I saw it got announced, either Carlito's injured or they're saving it for a bigger event because it wouldn't have made sense for Santos to turn. And I always say this: when someone is turning, you either want it to give them a hierarchy with the people, or if they're turning heel, you want it to pay dividends immediately. And I think, to me, otherwise it would just defeat the purpose of turning, right? Um,
Right.
so this is a good win for Santos to justify why he did what he did, and get him on that path to maybe eventually Rey Mysterio and or Carlito.
Strudel?
I believe there was a 6th match that they had canceled. And I'm having trouble remembering what it was. Damn, either way. This, I honestly think we could have done this without we could have done without this match,
But what match
and
was the people supposed to go take their pee break on?
it's a good point, but it should have been, you know, at least, uh, you know, you know, Logan Paul should have had at least one defense. Uh, and you could have ran Logan Paul and Ricochet back.
We're waiting until WrestleMania for that, though.
Yeah, I think they're waiting to Mania for that. Ricochet gets redemption at Mania.
Hmm. Uh, hmm. uh, Either way, I'm gonna give this match. I'll give it 2.5.
Kaliko?
Solid 3. Give it a supposed to be.
I think Kaliko's right. 3 is probably the best way to go with it. Alright, we got Rhea Ripley defeating Zoe Starks to retain the Women's World Championship in 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Kaliko.
Talk about a match that shouldn't have been on the card. Anyway, Rhea won. Zoe made it a good fight. Next. I mean, it just showed Zoe can hang. Next.
Scooter?
Yeah. Now this was basically a squash match. Um, they like making Rhea look invincible. Um, and they like when fans chant "Who's your mommy?" Um, this did what it was supposed to do. Could there have been someone else better suited to uh, take Rhea Ripley's place? Uh, I don't know, but maybe we know that they're building up to uh, uh, Rhea and Naya.
Yeah.
Um, I also think they're gonna. Uh, I think I think Shayna Baszler is gonna be her Rumble opponent.
Quite possibly.
Um, so yeah,
How many stars you give this one, Scooter?
I will give it a solid 3.
Kaliko?
He, he, he dropped.
Oh, we will come back to Kaliko. Um, I will also give it a J. Alright, and that brings us to our last match. We got Cody Rhodes, Seth freaking Rollins, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Randy Orton defeating the Judgment Day, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, uh, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, DJ Nick Funko, and Drew McIntyre in a War Games match in 34 minutes and 50 seconds. Um, to your point where you said it was unnecessary that if Randy was going to make it or not. I think there was more to play up and tease. Well, you know, somebody else might take his place. Somebody from Chicago, or somebody that just made a return. Like R-Truth, for instance, which was a big surprise. Really happy to see R-Truth back in WWE doing
Yeah,
his thing.
I
Um,
mean, and Triple H at that press conference afterwards, he said, "Let's talk about that big return." Of course, I'm talking about R-Truth. Uh, that was that was funny as hell,
right.
and even more so seeing him on Raw and him saying he'd like to be the fifth person on the Judgment Day's team for War Games. I mean, I think at this point we can finally call R-Truth Alzheimer's R-Truth. Is
But he did find those Grammy award winning jelly rolls.
and you know what? He had those little Debbie ones, which are so disgusting.
But nonetheless,
Should, should have had a Tootsie Roll instead.
it was, I think, a good match. Somewhat memorable. Definitely a shocker considering Damage Control lost earlier in the night as well. Um, but yeah, it was a return, a triumphant return for Randy Orton, who I don't even know how looks even better than when he left.
Yeah, they were. The rumors were that he was looking even more jacked than when he left. And let's get something clear here. Randy Orton had double fusion neck surgery.
Back surgery.
Yeah, and you know a single uh, a single fusion surgery kept Shawn Michaels away from the ring for uh, almost a little over 4 years. Edge for 10. Uh, so if this says anything about Randy's work ethic, if you were doubting, whether or not uh, Riddle's uh, well earned release was going to have any effect on him, you should know that nothing can stop Randy Orton from having a successful singles run. In fact, when he's in a tag team at this point, it it really does hinder him when you really look at it.
I can make that argument with Riddle. I mean, he never needed a tag team partner. It was only to get Riddle over at that point. But the
Yeah,
only
but
thing holding Riddle back at this point, or at any point, was Riddle himself and his issues.
fair
Um,
point there.
but yeah, it's insane how fantastic. Randy Orton looked fantastic in 2002. It's
Yeah,
incredible. He
he
looks
had those
incredible.
bangs.
Huh?
Yeah, but he had those like weird bangs.
Ah, true.
Uh, I do love the fact that Damian Priest was gonna attempt, and I figured something like this might happen, that he was gonna attempt to use the briefcase during the match.
Which makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever.
Well, if you have Seth down and you have three of your other teammates, um,
But what was to say Drew McIntyre does not Claymore every last one of them and win the and pin set and win the championship?
uh, because it would still be considered a Damian Priest cash in.
But that's to
Uh,
say when Seth Rollins cashed in his briefcase in at 31, Roman Reigns couldn't have won that match because it was triple threat.
that's a fair point. Um, I don't exactly think the logic of cashing it in during a multi-man match already in progress. I think that just adds to the confusion. Um, and given what happened with Theory, I think the WWE are taking their time on this one, and I I am gonna say that Damian Priest will uh, will have successfully cashed it in by the time Elimination Chamber ends. Um, uh, you know the the all five draping Orton DDTs. That was a great visual. Uh, the being thrown right into an RKO
Oh
from the
yeah.
cage. That was like, and it was so clean.
Oh yeah.
It was probably the most beautiful RKO he's ever delivered. Um, I I think now they might pull the trigger with Randy on being 17-time world champion.
And you know it's rightfully so. In all honesty,
I
it's
mean,
right.
it, I mean, it's now a chase between Randy and Charlotte.
Is he at 15 or 14 right now?
14,
14. Okay, so he needs it three more times.
yeah, and he's in the shape to do it, unless they give Cena one more month long reign, just so they can knock Ric Flair out of that record book.
I don't think John Cena is going to do something like that. I don't think. I think John Cena's time is, has somewhat expired at this point.
I mean, he's going through you know uh, a a crisis of the crisis of self, and I maybe it happens at Elimination Chamber, but then again, I think they're gonna pull out uh, Cena and Logan Paul for Elimination Chamber.
Um, honestly, I have no idea at this point, but
I mean, unless they plan on doing it for WrestleMania and they do Ricochet and Logan Paul uh, at at Elimination Chamber.
no, I think it's going to be Ricochet and Logan Paul at Mania. It has to be at this point. But yeah, no, Randy Orton looking fantastic. Good match. Um, that RKO was phenomenal on McDonough. It's funny how Cody actually got the W over Priest. To actually win the match.
Yeah, Orton said, "You take it."
Um, that being said, how many stars do you give this one?
I am gonna give it a 5.
I will give it a 4. It hit all the right buttons. Um, not necessarily, all that memorable, but the moments that were memorable will arguably will remain that way. All right, and that brings us to the last part, and that is
Now, uh, I, we gotta set something, make something clear here. The closing right corner graphic had come up,
yes.
and you know, many people, assumably, thought this, you know, uh, thought this really wasn't going to happen. Um, but as soon that, that music hit, I went. I literally shouted, "Holy fuck!" at the top of my lungs. James, tell it to the masses.
It happened. Hell froze over. Pepsi Phil has returned home. And Kaliko did not believe me. Kaliko completely uh completely dismembered. He disregarded it. Did not think it was going to happen. I feel like I was the only person that kind of knew that it was going to happen, and it did. He's here, and he's back, and he's not going anywhere for the time being.
You know, I don't know if do you remember the remix for WrestleMania 38
That was
and our reaction to Cody returning?
yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what I said?
Not particularly.
I said, "Hey Tony, you can keep your CM Punks. Nothing is gonna match the level of this audience right now." Well, I clearly was wrong. that this happened, not even to come into the ring, that it was just to show up. And this was not supposed to happen until the Rumble. I believe that was a false trail for us, the fans, to, make us think, okay, he's not going to be here. And then all of a sudden, that remastered version of Cult of Personality and the the level of noise from the fans was a bigger pop, than when Mick Foley would mention the name of the city they're in. I will quote my own personal post on this, and I am borrowing the words from Jim Ross. The Allstate Arena hasn't shook like that since Michael Jordan. It was Jordan-esque. Punk is home amongst his WWE family. I love the way that the fans picked up on clobbering time.
What do you mean?
When he actually, looked at his watch, and Punk only said "it's," and the crowd finished it.
Oh yeah.
Punk wasn't even, wearing any merch.
No. Oh no, that's wrong. He was wearing the Daniel Bryan basic white tee. So.
Oh, no,
Yes.
because it's not,
You
it's,
wanna fire me? I'm wearing your merch on TV. You motherfucker.
but it's to show that Punk is a changed man, because the fans that are still upset by the release from AEW, which is now complete bullshit. And Tony, we all knew that Tony Khan was such a punk mark that he was the second. He would be the second in a human centipede that started with Punk. I mean, good lord, that man could suck ass. But and going back to the fact that they were willing to give him a live mic, no more than 48 hours after his contract was signed, because it did not get signed until early in the day on Saturday. How Triple H and Nick Khan were able to keep this secret, and without it getting spoiled, it's just cool.
I don't even want to say that it got spoiled or people didn't know that it was going to happen. There was two people that the fans were split. Those that knew it was going to happen, which was myself. I I truly believed he was going to make that return. And then there was the ones that did not want to believe it was going to happen. Were you on Reddit at any point during that time?
No, I was not. I was thinking about how much Tony Khan is a hypocrite because uh, he got fired for speaking up about using glass in a spot, and of course, Swerve and Hangman, they use glass galore.
Well, Punk was against the glass.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. I mean, Punk. That was actually a case of Punk looking out for a younger talent,
right.
and it's after this, I would I would say that uh, that Punk could possibly be in the top three to win the Rumble. Uh, I don't think that will happen. Uh, it will. It will. It will be Cody again,
Or Jay Uso.
or Jey Uso, or at the very least, L.A. Knight. Um, it's it.
It's just the. I don't want to say that this is a nail in the coffin of AEW, because as long as Tony Khan has money and is willing to spend it, then AEW is going to be alive. But I don't even want to say this is like AJ Styles leaving TNA in 2013, but it's somewhat of a it's somewhat of it took all of this stupid shit for CM Punk to come back to WWE, because this was never going to happen if there wasn't an AEW, if Tony Khan didn't do what he did. And it just doesn't look good for AEW that they had this megastar and they let him go. Especially considering that they didn't fire Jack Perry to boot. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, Perry hasn't been on TV in quite some time.
And I can't imagine he's going to be on TV anytime soon since Punk came back.
Yeah, AEW really has to, start setting some firm boundaries. Um, I I honestly believe that there were a number of things Punk would do before he actually got fired. I did not think it would be for suggesting that they don't do a spot where both superstars could get very hurt.
Right. Well,
Uh, and that speech on Raw, where you know, you know, usually when Punk has a mic, he takes a long time. This, I think, is the fastest I've ever seen Punk get to the point, even if it was at the end of the show. I think that's a symbol of him being a changed man. And the fact that he said, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. Punk might be the most honest guy in pro wrestling right now.
It's funny because literally the next day I was talking to a friend. Her only knowledge of pro wrestling is that I do wrestling with entertainment. She's told me many times in the past, you could tell me what the show's about, but and I'd like to listen, but I have no idea what you're talking about. I know nothing about pro wrestling. We
That's me explaining pro wrestling to my relatives.
so we were talking. I didn't bring it up. She brought it up. She was like, "Hey, I saw like last night. This guy came back, and it was supposed. It's like a really big deal or something. Is I know you do the show. Is that something like you talk about, or something you're going to talk about?" And I was shocked because she's never brought up pro wrestling ever, and for the simple fact that somebody that has no wrestling education whatsoever said, "Is this a big deal that this guy came back?" It speaks volumes on CM Punk's impact on culture in general. That no people that don't know about wrestling even know about CM Punk and what he's doing. It's crossing over.
Yeah, I mean, so many non traditional outlets were covering it. Um,
The UK
I don't,
says he's not coming back to Wembley.
and by the way, Tony, uh, way to waste money with Will Ospreay.
And
That,
Kota
that,
Ibushi as well.
utterly, utterly ridiculous to spend that much money on a superstar who refuses to move to the U.S.
Oh, that's. I want to say that's a conversation for another time, but I don't
It
see
is,
why we have to talk about Will Ospreay ever in the future.
yeah, I don't think so either.
But I think this is a really great move for Punk. I think we're going. I think for the first time in his career, he's going to prove people wrong in the sense that he can be professional. He can work with people that have issues with him. He can do everything people said he couldn't because he absolutely can. I think we're going to get some really good shit out of this. And I mean, my God, what a time to be a fucking WWE fan. In all honesty, you don't. You got Roman Reigns, you got Cody Rhodes, you got Jey Uso, you have LA Knight, you have Seth Rollins, you still got Brock Lesnar, you have CM Punk, you have all these mega stars, and if you don't like one of them, well, you're gonna like the other one, and if you don't like any of them, then I don't know what to tell you because everybody is insanely popular right now, and everybody's getting pops, and it just seems like we're in an attitude era esque renaissance of pro wrestling once again, and honestly, I'm excited about it.
I am excited as well. Uh, there's still some superstars around that uh, might have some unfinished business with Punk, or someone who uh, is managed by a certain wise man
Right, but that doesn't. People were upset because they think that Cody isn't getting his title match because of Punk now. But the story between Punk and Roman isn't about the titles. It's about Paul Heyman,
Yeah,
and
and
there's no reason you can't do that after WrestleMania.
there's also no. I also wouldn't have a problem if it was done at Elimination Chamber.
I mean, it's a big arena that they're going to be in.
So you might as well, give them a match that will get all the media outlets talking.
But
And
and I can
and
yeah,
Punk wins that match,
Punk
which
is really
is,
not winning that match.
well, what I would think would happen is that Punk Roman first in a non-title match, and Punk wins that one, and then Punk has grounds to ask for a title match, you know, with Roman, and maybe we even get a Punk Brock Roman triple threat, and it's just Paul Heyman in a shark cage shitting his pants.
Oh, if we're talking, we're getting a little off track here by talking about the Australia Soul Elimination Chamber. In all honesty, I saw Nia Jax beating Rhea Ripley at the Rumble, getting the title from her. Rhea getting the rematch clause at the Australia show, and that actually be the main event where Rhea pins Nia to win her championship back. That's the last match on the card. Um, you can't. I mean, you can have Punk and Roman start the show. But I mean, it's how you want to do it
I
if you're
mean,
WWE.
considering that they are building, that they started kind of building for a Punk Rollins match. Uh, I don't know if you've seen the footage of Seth
Yeah.
flipping off Punk,
hmm
but that was an angle, and I might even expect that more at at Elimination Chamber instead of at Mania, um, because it. I honestly believe it will be Cody again, uh, and this time he will be able to finish the story. Um, it's there's just so much promise for the future of wrestling in the WWE, and it's like a repeating sunrise coming up over the horizon that just brightens you up over and over again.
And that will conclude our coverage of Survivor Series. Join us next week as we talk about. I don't fucking know what we're going to be talking about. I'm sure stupid shit will happen in all pro wrestling. Ric Flair will have another rant.
Child,
How? He's in his 80s.
hey,
Is it
know,
going?
crazier things have happened.
I
I
mean, is it?
mean,
It's going to be a hand at the end of it.
no, I think it's just going to be dust. you know, when Ric Flair shoots his load, his dick just goes. It's like, sorry, my semen has turned to dust. Or it could be that his dick shoots out a little flag that goes woo.
Will you stop?
Never. I'm back, bitches.
Oh yeah. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing for whatever fucking reason, please like, subscribe, comment, both on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Maybe not after this episode. Um, join us this Tuesday for interview with Vincent Michaels. Join us this Wednesday as we interview Lola Harvey. And join us every Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews. Follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on X, Instagram, and Thread for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Where can we find Kaliko?
Or when my phone ain't killing on me, I'm Kaliko. Chronicles coming up. Uh, got another episode coming up. Might be a weekend hitter though.
Oh yeah. And where can we find Scooter Dust?
You can find me on X at Scooter Dust. I am happy to say that the remix will officially be back on the air starting with the 2024 Royal Rumble. Keep an eye out for on the social media pages for more info as we get closer to that date. Is there anything I used to say that I'm just forgetting? Probably, but I think that'll do for now.
It's enough. For Kaliko Yachts and Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Woo!
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.